Welcome everyone to our last session. We are finishing the second edition on the virtual summit on AgTech after 3 days and more than 20 hours of live broadcasting. I have really enjoyed being part of the organizing team during my last weeks of virtual MBA. However, it is time to pass the torch to a wonderful group that will keep working to make the third edition next year even larger. Next year, Christine, who is joining us right now, Elizabeth, and Robert will lead the summit. And now we will hear from them the closing remarks. So thank you very much, and happy to stay in touch with all of you, continuing these interesting conversations about food and AgTech.
Thanks so much, Alberto. Thank you for your leadership. And thank you to all our audience members for attending the second annual virtual summit on Ag Tech. It's been an amazing few days of conversations, content, and insights. We had more than 65 speakers, over 900 attendees, and 20 hours of content, making this summit one of the largest in-person and virtual events on Ag Tech in the world. Everything was coordinated from Hanover, New Hampshire, and virtually where all our student volunteers are located. I'm Elizabeth Lanchowski-Holmes. I'm a first-year student at Tuck and one of the co-chairs for the Food and Ag Club for next year. I'm really passionate about the intersection of food, health, and nutrition, and excited to work with my fellow students on next year's summit. I'll pass it off to Kristen.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kristen Ng, and I am also a first-year Tuck student and an incoming co-chair of the Tuck Food and Agriculture Club. I'm really excited to be here. I'm so happy that you guys enjoyed this conference. As for me, I'm particularly interested in sustainable food and the next generation food industry.
Thanks, Kristen. Hi, everyone. I'm Robert Sewell. I'm also a first-year student here at Tuck and going to be on the Food and Ag Committee as well. I got involved playing this because I'm just fascinated by some of the new production technologies that ag tech companies are introducing, particularly how the industry has been shifting to more distributed local food production. So I had a blast these last few days with all of you, and now we'd like to spend a few minutes just talking about some of the highlights from the past few days. So let's get the PowerPoint up, and then Elizabeth will kick it off on what we talked about on our first day.
Awesome. Thanks, Robert. Can everyone see my screen? I think I need to focus it. There we go. All right. So we kicked off the summit on day one with over 7 hours of content focusing on the next generation ag and food economy. We had keynotes from Tom Chi on the future of food and Moritz Lancet on the connection between ag tech and fintech. We had 3 fascinating panels on the future of ag tech investing and innovation in protein, as well as 9 startup pitches to conclude day one.
The theme for day 2 was innovations in agriculture. Sophia Elizondo from Brightsleep delivered the day's keynote, and we had 5 panels and 14 companies gave startup pitches.
And lastly, today's summit focused on international developments in ag tech. We had 4 keynotes, which bridged many different topics, including investment in India, expansion to international geographies, empowering entrepreneurs, and lastly, food for thought with Impossible Foods. We also had 3 panels that focused on ag tech and food supply chains in India, Latin America, and Asia Pac. We had 2 really great fireside chats, complete with virtual log fires, focused on technology in developing nations and investing post-COVID-19 with Ed Roman and Tuck's very own Jim Foy. Our final day was a tremendous conclusion to the summit, and we really appreciate all of our speakers and audience members who contributed to lively discussions and learning.
This is when things started to get really real for me, when I started seeing the numbers for our turnouts. We had an unbelievable turnout this year, over 932 attendees from 43 countries, touching every part of the globe when you look at the list where everyone came from. So we had speakers and audience members tune in from all time zones and people speaking in the middle of the night. So we're just really happy that everyone was able to join us. We had a great mix of attendees as well. Which means we achieved our goal of making this summit accessible to a really broad audience. About a quarter of our attendees were students, but we had representation from investors, entrepreneurs, and industry as well. The side panel chats and Q&A were lively with comments as well, as they are continuing to pour through right now. So that made it fun too.
We're also very proud that we were able to raise over $8,500 for our charity sponsors through registration donations at this year's summit. To our audience, thank you so much for your donations. We're thrilled to be able to work with such great nonprofits, Feeding America and the National Young Farmers Coalition. We love that this summit not only provides broad access to trends and issues in ag tech, but also has a dual purpose of benefiting young farmers and those in need across the U.S.
Now, we just like to take a minute to thank our sponsors who help make all of this possible. So first, I'd like to thank Bayer Crop Science. Through data science and digital farming, Bayer strives to empower farmers to make better decisions, like having the right product in the right place at the right time in the right quantity. Next, I'd like to thank Rice Exchange. Rice Exchange is a digital rice trading platform with an integrated supply chain solution. We'd also like to thank our Dartmouth and Tuck partners, including the Center for Private Equity and Venture Capital, Center for Entrepreneurship, the Center for Business, Government, and Society, Center for Digital Strategies, and the Magnuson Center for Entrepreneurship. It was really a group effort, and I just really want to thank everyone for being a part of it.
For this conference, our purpose was to establish a conversation across the three main stakeholders in ag tech: investors, startups, and industry leaders. On the investor side, we had an amazing representation from VC firms and venture arms of established companies. In the startup space, we heard from over 36 companies with operations in over 20 countries. We also heard from industry leaders and corporate representatives who are working to change this industry. Thank you so much to all our speakers.
I'd also like to thank the Tuck team who helped putting this on. So first, our faculty advisors, Jim Foy and Jessica Williams from the Tuck Center for Private Equity and Venture Capital. Second, I'd like to thank our fearless leader, Alberto Arcia, who's a second-year student at Tuck and was one of the leaders of this year's Food and Ag Committee. Additionally, I'd like to thank the rest of our student volunteers. Without none of this would have been possible at all. I mean, there's a lot of work that went into this, but I think we all had a great time. So thank you for everyone that was part of it. Last thing, I'd like to plug that all these student volunteers are interested in the ag tech space. So feel free to connect with anyone on LinkedIn. Our information can be found on our website, which is agtechsummit.org.
There are several opportunities to stay engaged with the summit until next year. All these sessions have been saved and are available for replay on Crowdcast and will also be posted to YouTube. Feel free to go back to panels that you may have missed or rewatch your favorite session, and also feel free to share them with your network. We have a growing following on Twitter and Instagram, so give us a follow, tweet, or tag us in a post. Feel free to connect with each other and post your LinkedIn pages here to stay in touch.
So last, I just want to thank everyone so much for attending this year's virtual summit on ag tech. We had a blast and we look forward to seeing you again next year. In the meantime, please feel free to get in touch with us if you'd like to speak at next year's summit. It's never too early to get started planning this. And we hope to have an even broader reach next year. So thanks again, and we look forward to seeing you this time next year.